to rest. And I will ask our to just silence their phone. And the bathroom is at the back. So this is the chef. So we want to use the bathroom. And we will start to proceed. So we'll call them the ancient, the elder priest amongst us, Elder Ivotash, to start us off with the psalms and the creed as we move forward. Let's head up.
Yes, give thanks, you know. Give thanks to the trainer, the guy that trained us today. Represent guy that said, you know, as a people. Guy that come from far, and here. So it's good to unite together, to share, you know, the spiritual realm, which is the word. It's one third, you know. And I give thanks to God for God, you know, ancient of days. So I give thanks his time and life. And then they come to celebrate the dead. But then they come to celebrate the living. Hallelujah. It's the most I give it life, and the most I take it away. So I give for life, and life evermore. Hallelujah. I was glad when he said unto us, come let us go to the house of midnight. Hallelujah. And my feet were standing there going to Jerusalem. And Jerusalem built cities compact together. The tribes fought, tribes to both sides. Hallelujah. Unto the testimony of righteous like Ethiopia, to give praise and thanks in the name of your God. Hallelujah. We have said, chose to judgment, chose the house with David, pray for thy Jerusalem, and I must prosper of thy peace in thy wall, prosperity in thy policy. For my friend and companion's sake, and I will say, peace in thy cause of the house of midnight. Hallelujah. And I will seek thy good, O Jacob, Selah. Hallelujah. I was glad when he said unto I, come let us go to the house of midnight. Hallelujah. And I peace was standing against Jerusalem. And Jerusalem building cities is compact together. When try to go, try to go to God. Hallelujah. Unto the testimony of righteous like Ethiopia, to give praise and thanks to the name of God. Hallelujah. For he has said, chose to judge men, chose the house of great David, pray for thy Jerusalem, and they must prosper the love of God. Peace in thy wall, and prosperity in thy policy. For I pray in the companion's sake, and I will say, peace in thy cause of the house of midnight. Hallelujah. And I don't seek thy good, O Jacob, Selah. Hallelujah. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is. Like that dwell together in amity, Lord. It's like a precious ointment for them. When down to the bed, even there when down to the spirit of God. It's like your burn. Jews descended from the mountain Zion. They live in our life.
Last year, Rastafari.
The man died in the blessing, and even life, and love, and continually. Hallelujah.
Rastafari.
Blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the ways of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scornful. My life is the Lord will not. Hallelujah.
Rastafari.
And in his law shall I meditate day and night. My life shall be like a tree that planted by rivers of water, that bringeth forth thy life fruit in due season. And thy life shall not wither, but shall I do it not prosper. The ungodly are sold like a trap in their way. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in judgment, nor sit in the congregation of the righteous. But most hallelujah.
Rastafari.
Great way the righteous, but the way the ungodly must perish. Hallelujah.
Rastafari.
Stand up and every chant Ethiopian creed, you know?
Everybody stand.
Stand. You know? Hallelujah!
Selassie,
Yeah!
Rastafari.
Prince and princesses. First child of Egypt. I killed now stretch forth the hands of the name of the night. Hallelujah!
Selassie,
Yeah!
Rastafari.
O thou the I am of Ethiopia, and I find worship. The Irish God in their hearts, but in the path of righteousness lead I. Help and I to give, that I must be forgiven. Teach and I love, the Lord in earth is Mount Zion. And thou and I, the loving wise man, knowledge and understanding do I with. The blessing unto I, the Almighty I am. Hallelujah!
Selassie, Rastafari.
Let the hungry be fed, naked clothed, the sick nourished, the aged protected, and the infants cared for. Deliver I from the hand of my enemies, that I may not be food in these first days. When our enemies are passing gate, the captives feed, the depths of the earth, and the belly of the beast. Divine thy place in thy holy kingdom. To the power King of kings, Lord of lords, conquering Lion of Judah, thy left himself light of this world, thy divine majesty. Hallelujah!
Selassie, Rastafari.
First ancient king vibration, God the Alpha Maker, big without end, first and forever, protectorate divine thy faith, the rule of God and mercy. Try thy aid that will not. Hallelujah!
Selassie, Rastafari.
Try thy aid the most visible and invisible light. Hallelujah!
Selassie, Rastafari.
Try thy aid the most mighty and younger of the light. Hallelujah!
Selassie, Rastafari.
Bless I, sanctify I, and cause the love of countenance to shine upon I. And I then must be free from all the ways of the wicked, both now and forever and ever. Hallelujah!
Selassie,
Yeah!
Rastafari.
One perfect Lord is
One
mine.
perfect love.
Remain standing, we're going to sing the national anthem. We're going to sing the verse and the chorus, and we continue the program. Bless the Lord.
We give thanks on behalf of us women, foundation and the fullness of the members. With our condolences to the family, the loved ones, elder, his friends, Cumberbatch, Jabones. And I fullness of condolences to I loving brother. And I also give enough thanks for his life and his time that he has spent amongst I. It was well spent. And I can talk about the Rastafari movements from the early 1994 coming up, where I met Colin Cumberbatch. And I can talk about all the goodness and all the works that he have done amongst I. So I know that he was the photojournalist for the West Indies cricket. He was also the photojournalist for I movements also, especially when it comes to reasoning and reparation and repatriation, lover of cricket, lover of steel pan. So I will miss a good loved one from amongst I, strong-hearted one, Sedgwick, ones that devoted his life and his time unto the Most High. And I will chant Psalms 24. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. For you have founded it upon the seas, and I established it upon the floods. Who shall I send into thy holy hills, or who shall stand in thy holy place? And I who have clean hands and pure heart, and I who have not lifted up and life unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully, and I must receive the blessings from the I am, and the righteousness from the I am of I salvation. This is the generation of them that seek the eye face, O Jacob, Selah. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and lift them up, ye lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of Zion must tread in. Who is this King of Zion? Selassie! Jah Rastafari! Strong and mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye black man, and be ye lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of Zion must judge him. Who is this King of Zion?
King
Selassie.
Rastafari.
Rastafari. And I give enough thanks, and I will go forward into a song, Marriage Supper. And I call on the singers and the players of instruments. As we move forward, we're going to press on time. So we're going to be moving forward in the program. Enough thanks and enough praises. Bless it. And I give enough thanks to the President and the Disaster and Foundation. And I say, this is the backbone of the President said with the class. When I started in the 1994 coming up, and I have nothing. And I was gathering up on the hillside under a tree. And through the leadership, I was like Elder Franklin, you know, Ross Bones, and all these ones, Ross Shaka, Ross Kimber, all these elders that caused I to reach the level that I is at the present moment. I cherish ancient ones of them, give myself ancient ancestors of them. And I keep them ever living amongst I. That's why I say they can never die. They might be here with I physically, but I go spiritually. I live with them. Long as it's so good, we will always remember. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
The rose of Sharon, Christ King Menelik, the most omnipotent one, the most benevolent one, superhuman, and light of this world. Great is the Most High, and great is to be praised. And I praise him in his sanctuary and in his firmament of his power. And I praise him for his mighty acts. For the Most High Jehoshaphat is strong in thy work. The Most High Jehoshaphat is wise in thy counsel. The Most High Jehoshaphat liveth and dwelleth in all and will continue in all. And I ask of the Most High Jehoshaphat to bless and sanctify and to purify and wash and thoroughly from sins that I have done willingly and those that I have done unwillingly. And I ask of you to guide and protect and cover and with his feathers. And under his wings shall I trust. And I ask him to bless and brother Elder Rasbone and keep him in his ways of righteousness into the holy of holiness. Because by I works I shall be praised. Then I ask of the Father to bless I elder brother, as I elder brother transit hands to the highest region. Then I ask as I pray, O Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy holy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in Mount Zion. Give I this day and daily bread. Forgive I trespasses, as I forgive those that trespass against I. Lead I not into temptation, but deliver I from all evil. For there is a king man, the power and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Selah. Hallelujah.
Rastafari.
Blessed. So remain seated. As we go forward to the next song, got to have a new name. The next song. Singers and players of instruments. Singers and players of instruments. Singers and players of instruments.
Welcome all to the tabernacle, Rastafari Tabernacle, where we give and celebrate the life of Jabones, Ras Jabones, Colin Cumberbatch. Give thanks for his presence amongst us in the flesh, and give thanks for his presence amongst us in spirit. Like also to acknowledge within the tabernacle our national hero, Viv Richards. Blessed Lord. Also, we'd like to acknowledge within the tabernacle another great legend in the cricket world, Courtney Walsh. Ambassador Gabriel Omar, blessed Lord. Chairman of the Revolution Committee. And to all the family members, friends and relatives of Jabon, blessed Lord. We are now my beloved brother Sahid Great, blessed Lord. And Mamba, Liverpool, blessed Lord. And Ambassador, forgive me, Ambassador David Joseph in the house. Blessed God. Give thanks. And everyone else here, give thanks. Rastafari. We're going to go straight into, let me get it right, the tributes. First up on the tributes, giving honor to Jabones, is our national hero. So Viv Richards, the bull, blessed Lord. My brother, that's the power. Seven. You step out. Somebody come call him. Alright, so we go on then. We have our first speaker, Honorable Ambassador. We know he was an ambassador. He still is an ambassador. My brother, Mamba Liverpool, blessed Lord.
Give thanks. You guys doing greetings to one and all. Greetings to all family members. A pleasure to meet you, Kojo. I've heard a lot about you from Bone over the years. And, it's like Bone just bring us all together. And we're thankful to that. Give thanks to the family and all the friends who have been around. I want to do this tribute to Bone on behalf of all the people who the past 5 years or more took time out to care, visit, and engage Bone. This is on behalf of all those persons. Some persons I may not remember all the name. But just to mention a few, Hyson Charles and family, Ras Ian, Mary and Cordella, Don Charles, Maria Alatunji, Juan Stone and family, Ras Mike, and Charlie Selkridge. Just to mention a few persons. And I do this tribute with all those persons in mind. And General, I forget, and his name is written here, give thanks and praise. Today, we gather to celebrate a remarkable friend whose spirit shone brightly in every endeavor he took. He was not just a Rastafarian. He was not just a Rastafarian, he was a beacon of hope and resilience, a Pan-Africanist who passionately advocated for the rights and the dignity of all people, and a dedicated member of the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission. His commitment to justice and equality was unwavering, and his legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. It is with love care, and a deep sense of commitment to friendship that I stand here to pay tribute to one of the many people who impact my life through the sharing of his knowledge and experience with me. His deep spirituality was reflected in his everyday actions as he sought to uplift those around him and spread the message of peace and harmony. Born as a member of the Ras Freeman House Tabernacle, found peace, love, and a sense of belonging through his association with all the brothers and sisters. The regular visits to bring food, juices, herbs, clean his yard, or just engage in conversation by a member of the community contributed significantly to his care and comfort. The general was one of those brethren who was there every day to ensure that Jabon had breakfast. Jabon was unapologetic about his belief in the work of Dr. Sebi, Alfredo Darrington Bowman of Honduras, a holistic practitioner and herbalist. He would always repeat this saying like Dr. Sebi: if nature didn't make it, don't take it. He was a strong believer in Dr. Sebi. His work with the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission was a testament to his dedication to social justice. He understood the historical injustices faced by our people and fought tirelessly for reparative measures that would honor our past and pave the way for a brighter future. His voice was a powerful instrument in the fight for equality, and he inspired many to join the cause, reminding us all that the struggle for justice is a collective journey. Members of the Commission, during a reflection session on Bone a few weeks ago, remembered him for his passion for the promotion of African history and repatriation to Africa as fundamental elements of the region's call for reparative justice. He will be missed also for his warm and pleasant personality and his infectious smile. Jabon, Colin, just born, Cumberbatch, was a gifted cricket journalist, capturing the essence of the game with a unique perspective that only he could provide. His lens took stories of all triumph and struggle and the indomitable spirit of athletes who represented not just their teams, but their nations and culture. Through his photographs, he immortalized moments that transcended the sport, showcasing the beauty and the passion of cricket as a cultural phenomenon. Along with his dear friend and colleague, the late King Frankai, they documented in several publications Leeward Islands cricket and captured in pictures special moments in the game for the likes of Sir Viv Richards, Andy Roberts, Richie Richardson, Wrigley Jacobs, Winston Benjamin, L.D. Baptiste, Kenneth Benjamin, Kurt Ambrose, and many more Antiguan and Barbudan and regional cricketers. I was told that he was a good soccer player for the Acme and Jets soccer team from Ovals. I didn't witness it, but I was told. Jabon's love for steel pan music was infectious. He understood that music is a universal language that brings people together, and he often shared his passion with friends and family. Whether it was at a local festival or quiet gathering, the sounds of the steel pan would fill the air, creating an atmosphere of joy and celebration. He believed that music had power to heal and unite, and he embodied this belief in every note he cherished. He was a regular caller on Sessions on Steel on Observer Radio program hosted by Sam Roberts, Joato Henry, and Wayne Deadly Henry. As we remember our dear friend, colleague, let us carry forward the legacy of love, justice, and cultural pride. Let us honor his memory by continuing the fight for equality, embracing our heritage, and celebrating the vibrant tapestry of our communities. Though he may no longer walk with us, his spirit lives in the hearts of all who knew him. Rest in peace, dear friend. Your light will forever guide us on our journey toward a more just and harmonious world. Jagai. I want to take this opportunity to ask Brother Dorwin O'Mahon to come and say a few words on behalf of the Reparations Support Commission. And right after Dorwin, Brother Master of Ceremonies, I'll take the liberty of reading a poem that was just penned a few days ago by Marcus Nakbakrum.
Thanks so much, Brother Anthony. Brothers and sisters, the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission mourns the death of its founding member, Colin Cumberbatch, Jabon, Rasmi, Boni Wanda, or simply Boni. This shot follows 3 years after the loss of our other Rastafari member, King Franklin. The Commission exchanges organizational condolences with the Rastafari theocracy of here, Raspriman, and expresses heartfelt sympathy to his bereaved family, his surviving sister June, and his children and grandchildren. Colin's activism in the politics of liberation for African peoples is at least 60 decades old. His early years in Washington, D.C., spent around the campus of Howard University and Federal City College, exposed him to Black power political thought, cultural pride, and activism. Those Pan-African ideas that forever influenced his approach to life. Those that shaped his engagement with a world that maintains its determination to keep African peoples in the back of the bus. He eventually folded many of his ideas into the acceptance and practice of the Rastafari faith. There are few among us who are as culturally grounded as Colin was. He was a champion cyclist before he left his beloved Guyana for relocation here in Antigua, where he became an outstanding right winger with the Jets football team, a graceful swimmer and spearfish diver, and an accomplished domino and bridge player. His knowledge of sports was astounding. International soccer, American football, basketball, and of course cricket, where he found his niche as one of the foremost photojournalists covering the West Indies cricket team during its heyday. Interestingly, he did not play much cricket himself, but he was a regular member of the Son of a Beach for James Posse. His offspring bowling with a hint of hope or turn brought joy to many batsmen. The less said about his batting and fielding, the better. Bond knew the world. He had seen most of it. From the crowded Mumbai in India, its castles and polluted Yamununa River,
to the vineyards of Durban, South Africa, and the craft markets of Zimbabwe, to the jazz and soul concert halls, rock and basement parties, record and bookstores in the USA, to the tea-serving reception rooms of the Lord's Cricket Ground, the United Kingdom, and to the Asian capitals of Pakistan and Sri Lanka. In every nook and cranny of our Caribbean nations he trod, with lasting memories of the mass camps and the steel band yards and the calypso tents and competitions in Trinidad and Tobago and here in Antigua and Barbuda. To the Rastafari gatherings and temples of Jamaica and Guyana and here at home also. To the beach, the picnics and river cookouts of the small islands. To every cricket ground that this region boasts of. He leaves us with an amazing record. His photography always edged deeper than the simple capture of images, which he did amazingly well. But through his camera lens, he also sought and recorded the vicissitudes of life, joy and accomplishment, sometimes pain and failure, always giving dignity to his subjects. His library contains rare books by black authors, a collection of music that of the most eclectic, calypso, soca, reggae and its precursors and offshoots, steel band, jazz, soul, rhythm and blues, and the various continental African genres. He did not only collect, he knew the forms, the main proponents, the history of their development, the importance to African and African descendant peoples. He collected art and shared with the Reparations Commission on many occasions for exhibition. His vast collection of African sculptures and other artifacts. But Bones' contrarian thinking, his refusal to accept the world as it is, and the socio-cultural and economic compliance it demanded, thrust him into memorable debates and arguments with some of his best friends. Those in Washington, D.C., I see here, Kojo. And here, with colleagues such as Mamba Liverpool, I guess myself, and the deceased Kate Frankai, and also deceased Gladys Joseph. Yes, he was contrarian to the core. He was ever ready for a debate, and he never accepted defeat with anyone who did not agree that Savili was the greatest batsman the world has known or will know, that Andy Roberts was by far a better bowler than Glenn McGrath, that Nancy Wilson was a better singer than Dale Warwick, that Stalin must be rated among the best calypsonians, and that there is no better steel band than Desperados. And before his vaster days, that Cavalier was preferable to White Lady. Born at both a phenomenal memory and an amazing comfort with himself, maintaining his views, even in the teeth of challenging contemporary and statistical evidence. His contributions to the work of the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission and the Regional Caribbean Pan-African Network, headquartered in Trinidad and Tobago, those contributions are legendary. He is remembered in both organizations for his engaging reasoning, a unique mixture of academic and grassroots thinking, and his constant demand for racial justice and African self-determination. He leaves us knowing that there is still much work to be done for the call reparations now to be realized.
Just bear with me as I just read this poem that was penned a few days ago by Ras Marcus Nagbokrom, who unfortunately is unable to be with us this afternoon. And I must also acknowledge the presence of the Parliamentary Rep and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Antigua and Barbuda and Trade and Barbuda Affairs, the Honorable E.P. Chet Green, who has graced us with his presence. Another very good friend of Bone, and one of the many persons over the last 5 years who have reached out in their own way to ensure that Bone was comfortable, and we want to give thanks and praise for that. The poem by Marcus Nagbokrom for Bone. Bone passed away this way. Bone passed this way and left us his camera with pictures of Andy, Bibi, Richie, Ambi, Winston, and Kenny. Labor of love done with his joy and an unrelenting sense of duty. From Sabina to MCG, Ekbastan, Herrera, and New Delhi, his photos of the West Indies made for all the world to see. Armed with a good eye, he captured every city of cricket ancestry, never to be caught without an opinion. You could still hear him and the king on Sportline with Gaikwad telling cricket stories of the life beyond the boundary. Old school photojournalist or public rank tour, Jabi was a walk in social media. Before the technology came along, acting like a bully in an analog wasteland. Snapshots of him playing football showed he was a big part of the rivalry between Jets, Empire, Atomic, and Acme. At home in the laughter and banter of the rude boy stand as he was in the glare of flashbulbs or the glittery chatter across the VIP carpet as he pointed his camera. Always present, please, for every Leeward Islands journey. Never to miss visits from SKB with Willett, Griffith, and Uri. Standard bearer for the islands. His photograph and his photography brought us the cricket world at shutter speed during the tech stone age of gloomy dark rooms and underdeveloped negatives. A Pan-African, reparationist, Rastafarian, sportsman, photojournalist was Jabi. Rest in peace and rise in glory. Words, sound, and power in here and now and for all eternity. Ras Marcus Nagbokrom.
Give thanks to my brother, Ambassador Mamba Liverpool. Give thanks, Ambassador Darby Lamar, and give thanks to the poet of Nakba. Blessed Lord, we will continue with the tributes, and we will call upon the bull, the lion, the master blaster, Viv Richards, our national hero. Blessed Lord.
Let me say greetings to everyone here today. It's indeed a pleasure for me being here today, and there are several reasons. First of all, we're here to pay tribute to someone who we know very well. I know him very well as a guy who was living in the then Drake Street. Across the road from Drake Street, we had Hood Street. And I can remember when the Cumberbatch family moved to this country in itself, they chose over us. And I guess they have a reason why. You must have done your research while in Guyana. Jabi was one of these individuals, who I want to spend a lot of time with. And just before I get there, I would say there were some who were making some inquiries about Jabi footballing ability. But I can tell you, he was a good player. I remember he had another brother as well, his late brother Johnny, who also played with the Jets. Why I would have been a fan of the Jets football team? My eldest brother was also a member of the Jets football team. I can remember my brother as well have a brief stint with Colin's sister June. If I remember that correctly. As a little boy I did. So, I can also tell you that Colin, from a very long time, as a little boy growing up in Ovals, was always an Ovals person. I later became very privileged in a big way, where I met the King Frank High, the late King Frank High, Colin, and all the other guys culturally. And I can say that I had King Frank High at the Antigua Grammar School as a history teacher. He did a good job, and I guess it must have been hard with him trying to teach the British history. But at the end of the day, Jabi, for sure, was one of those individuals who were met around King Frank High, and as a history teacher, so much I would have learned in terms of, I thought I was pretty conscious, but then when you met these guys, man, they raised the level. And as I said about maybe further afield, Colin, as you all heard a little earlier, he was so passionate about his the cultural ways of our life. He was also very much passionate about our cricket, West Indies cricket on a whole, and I would have spent many times with Colin away from home. And especially when we're in some remote parts of India, Colin was the best companion that you could have ever had. And I'm going to tell you why, because when you would have finished having a conversation with Colin, it was like I had my history teacher, Frank High at Antigua Grammar School. Later on in life, the history continued. I'm all the better for that as an individual. The things that we would have done together, I can remember quite clearly when we were in Trinidad. We just happened to be in Trinidad around the time when you had Carnival going on. And it was around February at that time, and we all used to really like that or enjoy that. But then we go up the hill from the Hilton to a place, Laventille, which I think was one of his passions, with palm music. So much I would have learned from Colin as well, where the pan is concerned. We listened to the books he sharp, we got on to Massey All Stars, and I was pretty passionate about the pan myself, so Colin was the best company to up to a pan. We're going to miss him for sure, because, as I said, I'm all the better being around Colin Cumberbatch. And I can fully say this, that sometimes when folks come from out the past of the Caribbean and come to live in Antigua, we sometimes look at them where they're from, of that particular nationality. We do not quite look at them as well as we should look at times. But Colin, I can say, was a bona fide Antiguan and Barbuda. Really bona fide. I can remember some of the trips that we would have had in India. And I can remember we used to go to some of the remote parts of India, not unlike what they have now in terms of the best parts, the best cities to play, and in today, out tomorrow. We used to travel to these remote parts, and Colin would always be there. And I can remember times, I have to say, painful getting a few little whips here and there at times, because in India, the law enforcement take around a little bamboo stick that they carry, and they use that like a samurai sword. And there are lots of times, because Colin, not looking like some of us, would be picked out made him our official member of the team. And as captain, I made sure that you used to go everywhere with us, travel on the coaches, and I know you had someone here in Antigua who was looking after him because I think he had some debate tickets, if I may say, that took him right around the world to some of the best places that one can imagine. Those times spent were just so magnificent. I remember this trip that we had to this remote part of India, and while we got to the hotel, came off the coach, got to the hotel, got upstairs. So the first thing Colin did, he went to open the curtains. And as he looked out, he saw this guy who was preparing our meal for later. And he saw this huge pot. And this guy had this huge sort of a wooden, doing something like this. And I can remember Colin said to me, "Hey Viv, have a look out here." And just as I looked out, I saw this guy wipe the sweat off his face. We never had a taste of that pot. You know, but it's great for us to be here today celebrating an individual that I can't say my friend, an individual who would have made me all the better in terms of my cultural way of life, my conscious way of life, King Frank guy. And it's amazing that he had us to come to Overs. I'm going to give you some reasons why. You had someone like maybe Ambassador Dorbin Omar, who lived just a street away. You had Ambassador Mambo Liverpool, who was living just another street away as well. Viv Richards was living on those streets. So you can imagine he came to a very rich area, culturally, and an area where a lot of Antiguans would like to be called someone from over. I don't think there's much more that can be said. To the brethren, well done again today. The sister, always appreciate coming here. I'm going to give you some reasons why. Because I've always felt as a black person that you guys would have been the individuals who stood up and said that I'm black. Many of us sometimes run away from who we are. Thank you guys for making us proud. I'd just like to take this opportunity to offer my condolences to the Cumberbatch family, all the folks who would have known Bones and interacted with him. My condolences. And I know for sure that we meet up at some point, that will be Jaga.
Let's say no. Give thanks a bit for the amazing tribute. Let's say no. Yeah, we will continue in the interest of time. The family members ready? Again? Well, time for the family tribute. And now we have Gail, the daughter of Jabba, on the program. And somebody else said was supposed to do the tribute. So, yes. Blessed Lord.
My name is Kojo Nandi, and Owen and I grew up together in Guyana. So I'll provide a little bit of an origin story as I tell you about scattered pieces of the action of life with Bone. You may be wondering, where did the name Bone come from? Why was he nicknamed Bone? Well, many years ago when we were young, there was a young man in Guyana who tried a lot of activities at which he was pretty unsuccessful. He was a very skinny guy, and his nickname was Bonya. He tried to be a long-distance runner. He wasn't very good at it. He tried to be a cyclist. He wasn't very good at it. And then, in the 1960s, along came a dance known as the twist. And Boneyard turned out to be a very good twister, so much so that when Chubby Checker came to Guyana, Boneyard jumped on the stage and so supposedly out-twisted Chubby Checker. And one day he was walking down the street, and Colin Cumberbatch and some of his friends were standing there, and Colin Cumberbatch shouted, "Hey, Boneyard!" The guy looked around and said, "You calling me Boneyard? You are more Boneyard than I am." And that's how he got that nickname. And it stuck. Boneyard was reduced to Bone, and when he became a Rastafarian, it became Jabon. When we were growing up together, we had a lot of fun times, playing sports, etc. And then Bone moved to Antigua, and I went to go to college in Montreal. Bone came to visit me in Montreal, and as we were leaving, he came with us to ride the bus to Montreal, and when we got to the border, which was a small town called Plattsburgh, where the immigration was, the immigration officer wanted to see how much money you had so that you could vacation in New York. Bone had $2. And the immigration officer said, "You are not going to New York with $2. How will you live on $2? Bone said, "You don't have to worry about that. I'll get money." The immigration officer said, "No, you're not. You're getting right back on that bus and going back to Montreal." And Bone turned to the immigration officer and said, "I don't know why you're saying that, because all I'm going to do is go straight to the airport and get on a plane and go to New York." Well, the reason he was able to do that was because of the grace of Lil, who sits there with us today. He was working for Air Canada, and so Bone could fly mostly for free. So he got turned back. We went on the 8-hour bus ride to New York, and Bone disappeared. And when we arrived at Port Authority bus station in New York, Bone was waiting for us because he had flown there. Later on, he and I worked together in New York, and most immigrants in New York look for jobs at which they wouldn't be noticed. Bone and I got jobs on Wall Street. He was repairing adding machines, and I was a clerk for a Wall Street brokerage firm. We bought an expensive apartment together, or rented an expensive apartment together in Harlem. We could only pay the rent for about 4 months. We got kicked out. Bone went back to Antigua, and I went to Washington. In Washington, I became associated with an organization called the Center for Black Education. And long story short, they had me attend a meeting of a group called the Pan-African Secretariat in Guyana in 1970. And when I arrived at the airport in Guyana, there was a swaying individual. In those days, he still used to drink alcohol. There was a swaying individual waiting at the airport for me to drive me to Georgetown, which somehow he accomplished, but he got very interested in what was going on at the Pan-African Secretariat. And as a result, he joined me in Washington, where he spent the next several years, where together we developed our Black consciousness and our understanding of Pan-Africanism, one which never left him. He returned to Antigua, and with friends like Dr. Nomar and King Frank Hyde, continued to advance the Pan-African movement here, and with King Frank Hyde became a founding member of this Rastafarian community. We traveled together to consciousness, And while he lay in bed in Antigua, a few weeks ago, a young man called me on the phone in Washington and said, I am representing a Jamaican woman who is the only living person who attended the 6th Pan-African Congress in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in 1974. And I am getting in touch with you because I have been informed that you could point me to where the records are stored from that 6th Pan-African Congress. And I did not have to ask him where he got my information from. I knew that somehow he knew Bone. And indeed, he was involved in an international worldwide Rastafarian organization with Bone, in which they communicated by Zoom, and Bone gave him my phone number. I was happy to comply because Colin Jabone Cumberbatch was my ride or die brother. And now that he has ridden off into the sunset, I know he will continue to live with us in our hearts forever. So, my brother, thank you for being in our lives, and thank you for being a part of all of this that surrounds us today. I speak on behalf of my wife, Pamela. Jabone spent a lot of time in our house, and she was the one who had to deal with the fact that he would not eat all kinds of things. And she was able to accommodate him. So we thank him for being in our lives and for bringing us to this place today with all of you. Thank you very much.
Kojo, let's say, some other time you gotta tell us how you got that name Kojo. And Kojo is a powerful plant. Yes, Gail, blessed love. Blessings.
Thank you. We were just asked to read this from the Caribbean Pan-African Network. They said they joined the Caribbean Rastafari movement, the people of Antigua and Barbuda, and the West Indian Cricket Fraternity in mourning the transition of our comrade and brother, Colin Cumberbatch, also known as Jabone. Brother Colin was one of the most dedicated and disciplined members of our Caribbean Pan-African Network. From his base in Antigua, Brother Colin could be relied upon to participate regularly and fully in all of the meetings and activities. His was always a voice of calm and wise counsel at meetings. Indeed, his calm, benevolent, and constructive spirit permeated all that he said and did, and we all respected him as a man of the utmost integrity. Brother Colin also occupied a special space within our regional Pan-African network because of the profound West Indian cricket consciousness that he represented. We were all aware of and proud of our brother's role as one of the preeminent photographers in the international sport of cricket, and of the fact that he was a living repository of the achievements and cultural work of the great institution of West Indies cricket. Indeed, the late, great King Frankai, behind the microphone in the commentator's box, and with Brother Colin behind his camera on the boundary line. CPAN was present and excellently represented at many an international cricket match. We salute him as a towering exemplar of the very best of our Caribbean nation and Pan-African civilization, and we take Abigail, Colin Jarbone's daughter. My father was nowhere near typical, as I'm sure most of you here know. He traveled the world, especially during the years when he followed cricket as a photographer. The most frequented places included India and South Africa, where I think he felt very much at home. On these travels, he collected art, books, and he took countless photographs of the landscape of these countries. Along with these photographs, he also collected very colorful stories that he frequently told. I'm sure you've heard at least one of these tales. These stories taught me that home is not just a physical space, but it is a feeling of connection with people and culture and staying true to what feeds your soul. Some of my father's passions included photography, music, pan, art, and cricket, as you've heard endlessly today. He read an enormous amount, which made it really difficult to argue with him on topics like history or culture, as he usually would have outread most of us. These disagreements taught me that knowledge is power, and sharing that knowledge is the basis for community. He is a storyteller, and I say is as this past week since he's passed, there has not been one person who knew him that didn't tell me a story that he told them. These stories will live with us and will continue to put smiles on our faces or make us think a little deeper. Over the last few years, some of you stayed really true to my father, Hayo, who is not here today. I want to thank you from all of us. The only word that kept coming as I wrote this was angel. You never wavered being there for Dad. Mama, from all of us as well, thank you. Dad always knew you cared, even when you two did not agree. Ian, where's Ian? Hi Ian. For all your support and always being there physically beside Dad. Thank you to Ras Freeman, this whole community, the General, Coyote, Richie, to name a few. I don't know all the names. You all contributed to making his life a little easier. To One Stone, I don't know who's here from One Stone. Thank you for feeding him. Food played a vital role in my father's life. It not only provided him with nutrients and energy, it also played a huge role in his cultural traditions. Thank you to all of you who came from overseas to celebrate my father's very huge life. Thank you for all the beautifully written pieces that all these old-time friends of my father wrote for newspapers, radio shows around the world. I learned things about him this week, and I gained insight into the man he was in his younger years. He has left a huge legacy. He'll be forever remembered not by the things that he left behind, but by the times or the events we think about when we look at a photo he's taken, or when we hear a steel pan and think of the passionate story that he may have told us about the history of the pan, or the fun times of the behind the scenes within the West Indian cricket team. When I looked up the word legacy, it read long-lasting impact. I think it's fair to say that he did just that. Thank you.
Give thanks for the tribute from the family again and loved ones. Blessed love, we're going to go to my beloved brother to give his strength and for the brother Bones. I call Sahid Green a tower of strength.
Yes, brother. Let me from the very beginning offer my condolences to the entire family of Jabon, because this is indeed what it's about. And let me recognize the great man who's in the house, Sir Viv Richards. But let me turn, I think my brother's still here. So let me say good afternoon to my brother, who happens to be the Parliament representative of this community, E.P. Chetri, Sometimes we just have to simplify it because he starts brother first before he's anything else. And so I just want to welcome you. I know that there is nothing that would have stopped you this afternoon from being here. I want to recognize a couple of Antiguans who are outstanding pedigree. And I see Ambassador Davin Joseph here with us. We see Ambassador Challenger, Brian Challenger. We see Professor Hiram Ford, who's here with us this afternoon. Oftentimes we don't get to talk about them. I had a painful conversation recently with some persons who told me that the reason why we don't have a lot of Antiguans in key places because we're not qualified. So brothers, just allow me to call your names so that they know that we have some power among us, including those who spoke earlier. And so Viv did say something that I want to, and then I see also the principal of the Tien Colonel school here with us this afternoon. I want to recognize you, sir, and all of the others who are here, but a special shout out and appreciation for the Ras Freeman leadership and its members. Yes, sir. The Bible says, sir, poor man that saved the city, not poor of mind. Pocket is what it was referring to. It's a poor man that saved the city and no one take it to heart. And we are assembled here this afternoon to do this kind of worship of a great Antiguan. And so Viv said that. And I've always said, if Colin Jabon is not Antiguan, I am not either. Because he has exemplified himself as that kind of brother. Our relationship has gone back quite a while. When I arrived here for my North American tour over 3 decades ago, Colin Cumberbatch was one of the first persons that I met as we kept looking for the light, and he was there. I have a 13-year-old son, Kazemde, and Colin and I talk about Zimbabwe. And so when I told him the name, he immediately endorsed it. And so Kazemde and Colin Cumberbatch Bones, as we call him, have a special relationship. In fact, it was his insistence that I should encourage him to play the pan and say, here's what I'll do, I'll bring him by you. And so one Saturday we were there, and he told Kazemde, if you play the pan, everything is going to happen. And so he chooses sixth base, and so he's playing pan. I don't believe my brother Chet plays pan, but I know one thing, he plays the guitar. And so he was the first member of our family. And so I was joking to Viv earlier this afternoon that if it wasn't for Jabon, nothing would have stopped Viv Richards from being in Trinidad this weekend. But I know Jabon was in Trinidad this weekend, and he came home for this celebration of his life. Because telepathically, you see, we don't say angels, we say ancestors. But let me tell you what is enduring. And I heard my chairman of the Antigua Barbuda Support Commission, Ambassador Dorvin Omar, talk about his collection of art. And there's so many parts to this very complex man. And I remember the first time I invited him to my home, and he was just like, you know, and in a way it's like you're looking for someone to prove that your work is not so bad. And so my collection of art and books, and he was just, and he could tell you, he could almost tell you the preface of everything in the library. And I don't have a bookshelf, I have a library. And that's the way he was. But the thing about Jabon is that our politics met at a cul-de-sac from which there was no continuum. We stayed there, it was like a valley. And this is what it is. He totally dismissed neoliberalism. And that was a joy of our conversation. And he understood that in the dilemma of this pumping ceremony of Caribbean independence was that we spent so much time in our enslavement trying to justify neo-liberalism that we forgot that we were supposed to dump that too, as in Antigua context, at coast dump and get something that was more natural to our development. And so a few weeks when I spoke with him, the only thing he was saying, you're checking out Ibrahim Traore over in Burkina Faso? I mean, and he's going through excruciating pain. But when Bone talked about liberation, his face lit up. That was our relationship. As we call in everyone here this afternoon to let's reconsider neoliberalism, even in a Trumpian era, and Europe is falling apart, that we need to have, and we need to blaze a new trail. And so early and bright, I'm asking the Commission that we secure the lecture series for Jabon at the University of West Indies 5 Island campus, so we can begin to look more deeply at what makes us, after 4.5 decades in Antigua and 6 decades plus in the other islands, poor like church mouse. We have not developed any wealth. We're just walking around here like boxes in the ring, hitting no target, shot at boxing. We have not done anything. And that is where Bones and I had our cul-de-sac. There was nowhere to go. We just pulled out in that place. It was a nice place to be, because that brother was really for real. And so, Ras Freeman and the leadership, Keith Roy Davis is one of the best sculptors in this country. In fact, if he's good enough to do Viv, he must be good enough to do Jabon. And so I'm inviting you to go and speak to him early, because that's the measure of a man. There's none better. Truly, truly, an African diaspora man, a Pan-Africanist in all its truest meaning, deliberate, transactional, pull back nothing. And we always say, you know, because that's what William Mackey taught us, readers are leaders. That's why it was always difficult to engage Bones, because he did not take silliness kindly. And so if we really want to change the trajectory of our Caribbean civilization and not stop talking about what our elders did, but in our time what we need to do, we're going to have to rethink our political ideology. It's not working. Up and down this Caribbean is the weakest we've seen this Caribbean civilization in 4 decades. You're going to have to face that. It's staring you down. We're producing knowledge and degrees, and they can't even find work in the region because we're not into ownership and wealth. And it's about time we must declare that we are allergic to poverty and will only defend wealth. And so this afternoon, as I conclude, I want to read from Ezekiel. I want to read from Ezekiel chapter 3:7. When I turned, I saw the vanity on the sun. There was one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother, yet there is no end to his labor, neither is his eyes satisfied with riches. Neither said he, for whom do I labor, and revere my soul of good. This is also vanity. Yea, it is a sore travail. And this is the important part. And this is what Bones represented. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. We must come together. We must unify. will lift up, for if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him with a threefold cord that cannot quickly be broken. This is finger, but when you roll it together, you get a fist. Caribbean brothers and sisters, it's time to make a fist and stop your nonsense. That's what Bone's message was all about. And that's why Sir Viv Richards declared that he was Antiguan of the highest caliber and pedigree. Because when he arrived, he made a fist. Colin Bone Cumberbatch was never celebrating his singular self. He saw in him, his strength was in us. And so I'm saying to you that one of the things that Colin always talked about is that we must disavow ourselves of the me. Upturn your M and get a W and begin to practice we. Because we the people, it's the only way we're going to win. And that's why we celebrate and worship and honor Viv Richards the way we do, because he never played for himself. Just let that sit for a minute. And that was Colin Bone's message to all of us walking around here with our little intellectual oneness. Unless you put it to institutional use, it is not worth a damn. And so, Colin and I, we became who we became. And so, as an ancestor, which he is now elevated to, we're declaring that we must ensure that he lives forever, because the energy of Colin Bone Cumberbatch is a necessary transport to bring the Caribbean civilization into a better place than it currently is. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Strength and power, Brother Sahi. Strength and power, we do hear your charge, the charge that you charge us with. You know, it goes for 7 elders who have passed, and also for Jabones. In the interest of time, you know, we're going to go through. I'm going to speak on behalf of Last Freeman, and then we're going to have the sermon by Priest Tashai, and we seal up with the song, and go to the burial yard in the interest of time. I hope the Last Freeman Foundation, unification of Rastafari, here expresses our love and respect for Jabones, Colin Cumberbatch, a son of Rastafari. Although you have transcended, my brother, the service you have done will live after you and will keep you in the memory of the living.
Selassie.
It has been said by His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie that dust shall return to dust. Mortality is man's inevitable course. So, talking about mortality, we know we came from the spirit world, which is the greater source. We came from the spirit world because we are spirit manifested in a human form. So we can say there is no death. If you understand with a higher understanding, there is no death. Death is just a part of the cycle of what? Life. Because life is supreme. So today we say journey on and ascend to the heights of Zion. Ascend to the place where the Almighty is. Ascend to the place of our ancestors and be one with them. We honor our beloved Elder Ras Jabones with maximum respect how we say, respect in the remembrance of him. I and I are here because we share the grief and the loss of our beloved brother in the flesh. And our gathering here is not just an expression of sympathy, it's not just an expression of sympathy, but of love for Jabones. Selassie. Throughout my entire life of knowing Jabones, he has always been an honest Rastaman, with integrity and devoted to the building of the nation and its people. And we can say that you hear the testimony of ones, the tribute of ones. His assistance in giving good advice, we heard it. His assistance in giving good advice, good words, sound and power was never lacking. Never lacking. His constant calling in on the radio programs, contributing to the good and relevant information to the nation is evident of his power. And to the youths growing up in Rastafari, such as myself growing up, he was an elder who always wanted good for the posterity, which is the young ones, the future generation, and he will often give the youth strength in helping to guide and mold them into good men and women of Rastafari. All these requires no testimony, for they are greater than the thoughts and words. His actions greater than the thoughts and words. Ras Jabones embraces the lion spirit, the African spirit, the Pan-African spirit. He remained brave and courageous to the end in this Rastaman redemption struggle. As a soldier in the Rastafari army, he has honorably executed the orders of his field of work, and he have died in support of all the good Rastafari stands for. Hallelujah. It has been said that death comes as a pleasure to a hero. I'm going to say, it has been taught that death comes as a pleasure to a hero. I say, again, I and I extend to our beloved brother, our deepest and most heartfelt sympathy in this time of suffering and sorrow, to his family, relatives, and friends for our loss of Ras Jabones, Colin Cumberbatch, in the flesh. Be one with the Spirit, my brother. Be one with the Almighty. Be one with Rastafari. Be one with God. Because Rastafari preacheth a liberty of God in man. So we say, be one with God. Hallelujah. Rastafari. To Jabones. Blessed Lord. I am going to call on Ras Priest Tashai to give the sermon. Blessed Lord.
Blessings. Greetings. In the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. And I give enough thanks to the life and the time of Elder Jabones, Colin Cumberbatch. And I say Elder Jabones coming from a long way, 1944, up until this year, Iowa. I stepped in 1973, but he was there 1944. So we give enough thanks for his life and his time. And every man and every woman was born for specific reason. to make sure that you value the time that you have on earth, because it's very short. Make use of the time that we have. And I say Japons. And I know of Japons from in the early 1997, coming up when I organized and centralized the Rastafari community in the Caribbean. I was a young soldier with my family, and I said, no one have more pictures in them archive than the Jabash with Iman and the Rastafari community all around the Caribbean. We tried all around the Caribbean organizing and centralizing the Rastafari community, where we met all the elders in them also. And we have seen the Rastafari movement rise up out of the Pan-Africanist movements. And we have to get real, we have a Kojo inside the house. We know about Kojo and Nani in the early 1655 when Cromwell left from England and go up in Jamaica to invade, to control iron slaves, and we was ruling by the Spanish at that time. And then the Spanish fled. And then when the Spanish fled, you know about the Maroons fled now. Over 1,500 slaves fled. Call themselves Maroons coming from the Tillera Mountains in Jamaica. And I know of the Pan-Africanists, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and these were the early ones that rise Rastafari in the Caribbean. And I must also realize that being a Pan-Africanist is self-reliance. You can't be calling yourself Pan-Africanist and dependent upon the foreign nation, the colonial powers. Pan-Africanism is self-reliance. So we as a people must make sure that I and I work together in that special love and unity so that we can be self-reliant and we can be dependent on another race. So I have to look into the word Pan-Africanist, because right now there's a lot of Pan-Africanists. But when you use a Pan-Africanist, you have to be self-reliance. You can't go be relying on the foreign nation for your food and for any kind of healings and cleansing. You have to rely on your own people. So I give thanks for the life and the time of these ones amongst us that teach I and I about reparation and repatriation and educating the Rastafari nation. And I know that many times we in reasoning, Rastafari don't deal with death. Rastafari don't deal with marriage. Rastafari don't deal with baptism. Rastafari don't elect priests and deacons. And I say in the Caribbean, when we have Caribbean Rastafari movements, these are the topics that we reason on the table. And we see in this day and time the levels that we reach. We have our church, we have our tabernacle, and we have to take care of all our marriages and sanctify all our youths and even say marriage and everything. And it was ones like Elder Jabones and Frankai, ones like Iral from Barbados, Rashju, from Martinique, enough ones from Guadeloupe, from St. Kitts and Nevis Island, from St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, enough chatting. We've been all over the Caribbean organizing the Rastafari community, building a one voice in the Rastafari community. So when I talk about bones, I know Elder Frankai, but I know Bones as a right-hand man for Elder Frankai. Even said Bones, within the reasoning, I know according to the reason Elder Frankai will go and reason up with Bones, pertaining, organizing and centralizing the Rastafari community. But it's not just the physical movements. When we look at Bones, it's a spiritual thing. And if your hands and your heart are clean while doing the work of the Most High, this is the time that you have to clean up yourself. And I see these ones, these elders, teach I and I to clean up I and I self, cleanse up I and I self, so that I and I can be self-reliance. cut down crime and violence from within the community, you know. Let the hungry be fed, the naked clothed, the sick nourished, the aged protected, and the infants must be cared for. And enough works before I do these things. I mission statement is organizing and centralizing the Rastafari communities, building strong institution and organization that is directed to establish through sustainable trades and development program in pursuit of our ultimate aim, goals and objectives. It was Elder Frank and Jabones and these ones that sit down and set up our mission statement so that I can be strong as a nation. So as young sons and daughters of these ones, because I see all the old suckers and them dry up in the Caribbean. When I check all the Caribbean islands and check all the photos of all the elders in them that I meet up on since 99. Coming up until they say, I will all the Caribbean islands. No, for I elders and them pass out. So for I the young suckers and them carry on the works so that these ones work will be ever living amongst I and will be ever faithful. So I say each step paved the way for the next. So I must give enough thanks and enough praises for the life and the times of these elders. And I said these elders never bury their talent. These elders and elders have multiplied their talent. And when they multiply their talent, the Father gives them more talents. That's why we're here in this Iowa. Continuing the works because of the young suckers from all these ones. And I know as a young little soldier, a young little angel, right upon these ones. And I'm humble myself with you. And I'm humble myself and listen wisely. As the Virgin said, history teacher. Once I talk about reparation and repatriation and education. And I said, I said, from truth alone is born liberty. And it's only an educated people can consider themselves free and master of their faith. So these ones are early educators. When I school system educate to work with the colonial powers, to just sit down in one position until I reach up to the age of 60 what they call pension. And I start people have more greater works. And I can't just do one thing. There's many things that the Rastafari black nation is so far behind developing. When I look and see, I great elders and them up in Africa, when they get sick where they go, either Europe or America, it's a shame. And I depend on another race to take care of I people, and we talk about education. So I have to educate I people in the right form of education. Educate them to take care of I as a people so that the nation can continue to grow. So when the old suckers and them pass on, and I see the young ones and them to carry on the works and to continue the works. And when we send our youths to school, and we send them to England and America to all these different universities, we must also sit down and lecture them and let them know that we're educating you that they can come and develop the nation and give us strength to develop the nation that will stay up in that nation that is already developed. And the nation needs to be developed. So I need to teach the youths in them. And make the youths in them know when they come and the government can't give you one job. Don't depend on the government. Because we send you to give you a university education, you know. So when you come, you make sure you create work for other ones and teach other ones so that I nation can rise up. I look on Mala and Elder Jabones and Elder Frank and these ones put out everything for the Rastafari nation. And I never know Bones family. And I never hear Bones start up a family. Any family and I hear Bones start up is a Rastafari family. All over the Caribbean. That's why I know these ones. So I said these ones devote them life and the fullness and the time. And through faith, and through courage, and through just cause, these ones end up as saints at the Most High. Giving truth, always giving. And I see Rasport as the virgins and them say, Rasport chad all over. This is a face that Rasport contribute to the church. And Rascal tell her and I something up in Africa. He met her once a calf. This piece of stone heavier than anything. And this youth up in Africa carved out his head within 2-3 days time. When you look at the artwork and the culture and the weight and the hardness of the stone, and I look at them things, they're impossible. But bones as a man of art and culture, anyway you go art and culture. Them are the things that I different. When you have culture and you teach your youth and them culture, no man can take the culture from them. Because they can use them and go and do things and create things. To give enough thanks for the life and time of all these ones. And I have the same journey to travel. I will just see it by saying I have to clean up myself, purify myself, make myself right in any wrongdoings that I have. Straighten up with your brother, wash yourself thoroughly, clean up yourself from sin, and from wrongdoing, and from bad mind, and from evil. You know? Do good in the morning, do good in the evening. Love your brother, love your sister. And them are the life that I know of. And I never hear man like a Rastafari in a no Rastafari argument yet. Never yet. And I getting enough ash reason in our own country. Our Lord. We never hear ones yet in a no rough reason. No one. With no one with the front light. Yes, enough ones come and wage war on these ones. And these ones say, time will heal. So I have to utilize strategy there. Sometimes I make time heal. Time heal. I chose the Lord that I got live on. And I said, let truth live on. And these ones live on through I and I with no thanks of life of elder bones. Enough things that I can reason from bones that enough chatting I and I do with elder bones and elder Frankai all around the Caribbean. And enough young youths them teach. Not just in the Antigua but all around the Caribbean. It's only the ones that chatting that I don't know. I never know that bones from Guyana. And I in Antigua with bones, a plant conference in Guyana, and a reason every week with the elders in Guyana, not knowing that bones from Guyana. Hallelujah. I give enough thanks, enough praises for all these ones amongst I in this Iowa. So, as the time we move on, I will see by saying all I have to make right with the Most High. So in this time come and I can give enough thanks for the works that I have done and I can smile. There is no more crying. Enjoy the life. And life is just a span of time. You see, if you smile as a mustard seed, because that's far you come from. And you still end up in a Zion. Hallelujah. So I chant the words as saints at the Most High. And I live up to the laws. And I must live up to the precepts, and I must live up to the statutes of the Most High at all times. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And I say, glory for the words, glory for the song, and glory to the iris, and I seal. And I say, blessed be the eye holy name. And I will call upon the singers and the players of the instruments as we seal up with the song, Hosanna. Still I will give my condolences once more to the family. And I say it's a heart of love. And Rascal never rest upon, dwell up in I in times, out of times, and through all times. And I know when you look through some of them photos that Rascals have, you can see my picture nearly 2 million times. You can see a picture with my youth on their size until I mix up nearly 2 million times. That's all ones do. So I say keep this history. If you look up at some of the photos at the Virgin, put up only bones have the mystery there. No one else keep the mystery like bones. Hallelujah. Any reason I need that I want to know about in the past, South Africa, I go to bones. Anything I see, I go away to the organization that I pull up, I put up the bones first. Hallelujah. I must keep up them things, I love up the elders and them amongst I because of the elders and them not know the truth. And the elders and them carry the Asian history. So I must always love up my elders and them. And I in this time must carry my elders and them, they not the love home. I must cut out that. I must put places that our elders and them can rest up amongst I and at that time they will try to get X amount out of them and hold it amongst all. Hallelujah. the last and final song, and then I will depart down to the cemetery as time is at hand. And I said the bus is outside. All ones that don't have transportation, the musicians and them all I can chat in the bus go to the cemetery so that we can reach it in one time. Then once they reach, one later, one later. So I can go down one time and go straight to the burial and perform our duty and seal up our duty and let Jah be praised. Hallelujah. And I say to the family, just give thanks and full joy, and I rest up the bones in my heart, and I know it's a little more touching than saying, but in a matter of time, the Father will just work things all out in the right way. Hallelujah. Jah. Blessed Lord.
Good.
back at the bus. And we will put the flag next to the bus. Yes, and then we'll do the bus. We'll go on and check the bus.
You're something else, boy. You're wearing two people down.
They said that they were up. They said that that's what they said, although they said that under the circumstances by your town. No, I mean. Oh, hey, Lulu is here. No, yeah, here. Thank you, darling.
Once it's up the side, up that side, you're going to
Are you lost?
at the bottom, you have a problem.
You. Right. You give me a hand on this ramp here. Oh, Lulu can.
Yes.
Yes, we want to. The mounted gun you get in the school, we always have to help you all. My sister.
Thank you. Lulu,